emphasis.
Alright guys, welcome to Half-Life 2 Episode 1. We have just completed Half-Life 2 yesterday, so let's do this. And let's play the first chapter, Undo Alarm, Enable Commentary Track.
Previously, certain protein chains important to the process of embryonic development were selectively prevented from forming. This is no longer the case. For those so inclined, now...
Invulnerable to damage. Yeah, thank you. I would love to hear the developers about their work, about how they managed to do the things they did, and so on and so forth. But anyway, install the Vietnamese patch. For some reason, it's here. The file download. The file is intended for Vietnamese people to play this game because most of them cannot speak
Episode 1.
English.
We received a great deal of positive feedback on the commentary track in The Lost Coast, and so we've included the same feature in this episode. To listen to a commentary node, put your crosshair over the floating commentary symbol and press your use key. To stop a commentary node, put your crosshair over the rotating node and press the use key again. Some commentary nodes may take control of the game in order to show something to you. In these cases, simply press your use key again to stop the commentary. With episodic content, we are hoping to release games much more frequently than has been possible with the monolithic development schedules of the past. Game developers and game customers have been wanting to try this for years. Please let me know what you think after you've had a chance to play this, our latest installment in the ongoing adventures of Gordon Freeman. I can be reached at gayben@valvesoftware.com. Thanks, and have fun.
Let me see. It's been 16 years after that.
You have destroyed so much. What is it exactly that you have created? Can you name even one thing? I thought not.
Well, we have the Vietnamese singing.
We used an upgrade of the refractator from Half-Life 2 to make the Vortigaunts warp into the intro. The major difference is that this time we are only refracting pixels that come from the Vortigaunts themselves. We placed a large sheet of refractive geometry in front of each Vortigaunt to achieve this effect.
This intro sequence establishes some important initial pieces of Episode 1's story and setting. Our earlier versions of the intro sequence were heavy on graphic effects and relatively light on storytelling. When we showed those early versions to playtesters, they thought it was cool, but rarely had any idea what was supposed to be happening. We went through several iterations, each time simplifying the editing and tightening up the effects. We eventually arrived at a good middle ground between the sort of psychedelic look we were shooting for and basic comprehension of what was actually taking place.
See about that.
Awesome. Undo alarm. Wait, HAL 47? Are you kidding me? Is this a reference to, Hitman game here? Agent 47? Well, anyway. Hey there, doggy.
Dog, I think I found something. Drop what you're doing and help me over here. Oh my god! Gordon! I was so worried.
Hey, the gravity gun. Give it to him, dog.
Huh.
There, Gordon. Dog's happy to see you. I can tell. Okay, dog. Go get the monitor set up so we can check in with my dad. He must be worried sick about us. He was so sure I wouldn't find you here.
Players love Dog, so we made sure that he was the first thing you see when you wake up in Episode 1. We also wanted players to get a glimpse of the crippled citadel. When Dog lifts you out of the rubble, it's one of the few instances in the game when we take control of the player's view. This allowed us to ensure the player's view lingered briefly on the citadel before Dog set them down.
All so strange. We should...
It's my dad. We've been trying to reach him for hours. Wait till he hears that we found you.
Yeah, just go up there, Alex.
Since we never take control away from the players, it can be a real pain to get them to notice important environmental events. It's a constant design challenge for us. The Citadel will be erupting in a massive light show that took 10 of us 2 months to orchestrate, and if we're not careful, the player will end up facing the other direction staring at a tire. In this case, to establish that the Citadel is coming apart at the seams, we wanted the player to notice the debris falling off of it. We used a pretty straightforward method here. Alyx explicitly mentions the Citadel while pointing at it. Like most of these solutions, it's not foolproof, but it has a high success rate.
The Citadel is supposed to be a building of unprecedented scale. So out of scale with the rest of the world, in fact, that we couldn't render it without our 3D skybox technology. This technology allows us to build the Citadel as a 1/16th scale model off in an unreachable corner of the map, and seamlessly merge it into the scene. We also use this technology to create the illusion of vast spaces and distant horizons.
Yeah, as you can see. It looks real enough.
This area was redesigned several times in order to keep the player in this space while Alyx delivers some exposition. As much as we hated to do it, the final solution was to have Alyx climb out while the player looks for an alternate route. We portray Alyx as more athletic and nimble than Gordon, so players shouldn't get too irritated by the fact that she can get to places they can't. Honestly, we're not especially happy with this crutch, but it's a trade-off we sometimes have to make so that we can get Alyx out of the way of interesting player challenges.
Alright, I understand. I'll have to move this thing. Huh. Nice. Holy fuck, look at all those things popping up here.
Alyx, come in.
Hold on a sec, there's so much interference. Hey, Doc, give me a hand. Okay. Little to the right. There we go. Hold it there. We got it. Dad.
Alyx, where are you? Oh, please, God, tell me you're out of the city.
Well, not quite yet.
What?
But listen, Dad, we found him.
You found Gordon? I don't believe it. But listen, you two have to get out of the city. The Citadel could blow at any moment.
There's no question that it will, I'm afraid. Our remote sensors indicate the process is accelerating toward a dark energy flare. Anyone left in the vicinity will be subjected to energetic events whose effects are beyond my powers of speculation. The ravages to cellular material are unimaginable.
Stop!
Dad?
Oh dear, Eli, I'm sorry, but surely there's no need for undue alarm. Alyx is well out of
Undue
harm's way
alarm,
by
holy
now.
shit.
Well,
He even
actually,
mentioned
the
the
Citadel.
title of the chapter as well.
But there's really no time. The core is exceedingly close to collapse. Why, there's no way to get far enough without first... Well, nothing short of a direct intervention in the core could possibly retard the reaction.
You mean going in?
Into the core, yes. But it's far too dangerous to consider. The chamber will be bathed in radiation.
Well, you do have the hazard suit. If we found a way into the Citadel, it's possible we
Alyx, no!
But Dad!
Izzy, talk some sense into her.
I'm sorry, Eli, but I don't see any other way. It would help us evacuate more citizens.
We can do this, Dad.
Okay, Alyx, okay, just promise me. Promise me that you won't take a single unnecessary risk.
I promise. I love you.
I love you too, baby. I'll be praying for you.
Don't worry. I'll see you soon. Yeah. Don't worry. Let's see if we can find a way into the Citadel from somewhere along the rim.
Right off the bat, we needed to hammer home some story points, reintroduce the cast of characters, and explain the player's immediate goal. It was a pretty intimidating chunk of non-interactive exposition. We generally approach these scenes by writing way too much, and then through constant playtesting, trimming the scene to more manageable levels. But in this case, even after some heroic pruning, the opening scene still felt too long. We ended up splitting the introductory sequence into 3 scenes, separated by some gravity gun puzzle solving, and then a dramatic walk across a crumbling ledge.
When we designed the Half-Life 2 facial system back in 2000, our goal was to get a natural-looking performance at a moderate distance. Given our real-time polygon and texture budgets, We chose fairly reserved or constrained performances over ever having the actors' faces get into a bad-looking or unnatural expression. For episode 1, we wanted to extend the character's facial system to support more intense performances with a wider range of facial expressions that would hold up better at close range. These facial improvements included increasing the detail around the eyes and mouth, increasing the number of facial shape targets, think of these as movements of muscle groups, by about 50%, rewriting the rules that control how these shapes blend, and increasing the intensity of many of our existing shapes. In addition, we added support for controlling the amplitude of the facial movement for lip sync animation, which let us dampen or amplify the mouth shapes based on the volume or intensity of the dialogue.
Monitor scenes are especially difficult to make interesting, since they tend to involve literally just talking heads. By interweaving critical expository information, like how dangerous the Citadel has become, with some dramatic character interactions between Alyx, Eli, and Dr. Kleiner, we were able to convert a potential liability into one of the strongest scenes in the game. A great way to illustrate characters' relationships to each other is to have one of the characters in danger and show the other's reactions to it, which is what this scene is all about.
Sometimes we need to keep the player in an area so that we can deliver some critical dialogue or run an important sequence of events. In these cases, we temporarily block the player's path using what we call a gate. These gates generally take the form of some obstacle that can only be removed or opened by some character or event. In this case, the obstacle is a crashed gunship that can only be moved out of the way by Dog. Though the final scene looks pretty straightforward, a lot of care had to be taken to make sure that Dog hit his marks and played his sequences without trampling and damaging the player.
Alyx travels through much of Episode 1 with the player, and consequently passes through a wider variety of lighting conditions than she did in Half-Life 2. This meant that we had to improve the quality of the lighting algorithms used on Alyx to look realistic in any situation, from the eerie hallways of the Citadel to the streets of City 17 at sunset. For this episode, we added a specular lighting term to the shaders used on Alyx, which provides a realistic shiny look to her skin, her leather jacket, and even her teeth. In these new lighting calculations, we chose to specifically emphasize bright highlights caused by illumination from grazing angles. This type of lighting, also referred to as rim lighting, is particularly dramatic when coming from low-angle light sources such as this bright sunset. You'll also note that the rim lighting is further enhanced by our high dynamic range post-processing, which causes the specular highlights to bloom in a striking and dramatic fashion. We have found that the move to an episodic development cycle allows us to take advantage of the fast pace of graphics hardware innovation by incrementally adding new features, such as Alyx's new lighting techniques, to the source engine with each new episode.
Awesome. That's what we need to hear. You guys rock. What's this?
This ledge is a really tricky spot for NPCs to navigate. While we wanted Alyx to be able to maneuver dynamically through any complex environment, in certain navigation situations we're faced with a trade-off between flexibility and visual quality. In this particular case, she navigates the ledge with a combination of AI and scripted animations. We've continued to evolve the systems of Half-Life 2 whereby characters move fluidly through dynamic AI and scripted navigation, but ultimately what matters most is how it looks to the player.
Yeah, I saw that. That looked real enough for me.
Our games are created by design collectives that we call cabals. When the idea to have you and Alyx sit in a van and then have Dog toss it across the gorge was first suggested during a cabal meeting, everyone thought it was funny, and then we moved on to more serious solutions for the gorge crossing. As the design progressed though, we kept coming back to the van idea, and eventually everyone agreed that we should give it a try. Even though the idea was kind of outrageous, it satisfied some key goals we had for the scene. Alyx and the player get across the impassable gorge, and Dog is able to play a key role in the mission, while also plausibly getting left behind. There were still some problems to solve though. Attaching animated models to the van was tricky, making sure the van didn't kill the player took some thought, and it took a number of tries before we were able to really illuminate Dog's thinking, as he went from testing his idea with chunks of debris to finally presenting the plan to Alyx. Ultimately, we were able to create a scene that solved some tricky game design issues, provided an intimate view of the relationship between Alyx and Dog, and delivered a surprising and visceral entrance to the Citadel.
It's really important to us to create scenes that showcase strong relationships between our characters. The relationship between Alyx and Dog seems to be especially satisfying to players. In the scene leading up to the van toss, we had a bug before the animation was complete, where Dog's head would shake as he looked back at Alyx. In a happy accident, his head shook right after she asked him, "You did do the math, right?" In playtests, players thought this was intentional and always laughed. Because of that, we worked it into the animation, and it ended up being a terrific little moment between Dog and Alyx.
Dog, really, that was a little close. What's gotten into you, huh? How exactly is this supposed to help us?
We need to get inside. Come on.
Wait a minute. Oh no. You're not serious. Are you?
He is. Just get in, Alyx. Come on. You know you want to.
Well, Gordon, unless you have a better suggestion, he is a robot. He's done the math.
Nope.
I want you to get out of here as fast as you can. Go find Dad. We'll catch up. Don't worry. All right. I'll miss you too. Now don't worry about me. I'll see you soon.
Take us there. We can do this, Doc. Oh my god.
Brace yourself. Okay, Dog, let's do it. Before I change my...
Whoa.
Okay. Careful, hold on. Whoa. Phew. Whew.
Good throw, Dog!
Now go, boy, go on. You'll be fine, just...
Uh-oh. What now?
What the? Oh,
Whoa.
we're going down.
Hold on! Alright, let's get off before the next ride starts.
To convey a sense of urgency, we originally designed Alyx to nag the player pretty frequently. She'd say things like, "Hurry up and keep moving." Whether or not this created a sense of urgency is debatable, but after about 3 minutes of this, the one thing it definitely did was make the player hate Alyx. This was one of the observations that eventually led us to switch Alyx from generally leading the players to almost always following. Through playtesting, we discovered that players much preferred to set the pace themselves, and that they especially disliked virtually any hint of bossiness from Alyx.
I understand, man. Thank goodness for those testers, because otherwise Half-Life cannot be that great. Oh my god. Oh my.
Oh my god, this place is really coming apart.
Let's turn on the flashlight and let's get the hell out.
This is unbelievable. I had no idea.
We populate our environments with spots where players can take a break to look out over an expanse of cool scenery. We call these vistas. This particular vista was designed to give anyone familiar with the Citadel interior from Half-Life 2 a good view of what it looks like now that everything's falling apart. The pods that are sliding off their track and into the abyss really sell the idea that the Citadel is half abandoned and in chaos.
In an early version of this map, Alyx led the player through the whole thing. To make Alyx seem less omniscient, we had her access a console here to get her bearings. It exploded, which helped drive home the point that the Citadel was in bad shape, but generally, it was a long pause in the action without a lot of payoff. After we made the high-level decision to have Alyx follow the player, this entire scene became irrelevant, and we happily cut the whole thing. Training is one of the fundamental tenets of our design philosophy. Before the player is required to utilize some new game mechanic, or new weapon, or face a new monster under pressure in a dangerous situation, We always introduce the concept in a relatively calm, but ideally still entertaining way. This entire scene teaches the player that Alyx can convert roller mines so that they can be used as a friendly weapon. Later, the player is required to do this in more pressing circumstances, but at this point, everything's still pretty calm. In the original design, the player retrieved the roller mine from a dispenser and used it to take out a combine soldier who was holding the field from the other side. Eventually, we scrapped that idea and combined the roller mine training with some stalker exposition that originally occurred in a separate scene.
In a good puzzle, the player is presented with an overall goal, and then faces a number of smaller challenges in pursuit of that goal. In the case of the stalker puzzle, we start with, how do I open the door? From there, we move to, how do I get to the stalker? Then, how do I get to the roller mines? How do I get the roller mine back to Alyx? And finally, how do I use the roller mine to disable the stalker?
Man, this was way back in 2004. Jesus Christ. Supposed to put it in. Okay, I have to grab those things. It's going to fall down. I see that. We just need to bring a little bit of these things back. Alright, I think I have to place this thing. No, all I have to do is stand on this. It should be fine.
Oh, you found one. Dad taught me how to reset the targeting system on these things. A little extra juice in the right spot, and it's on our side. I'll hold it out where I can work on it. There it is. It's a lot more unstable, but it should last long enough to take out the stalkers. Let it go now. It'll do the rest.
Oh, nice.
Okay. We can get through now. Let's go.
We wanted to create an atmosphere of urgency in the Citadel, with Alyx and the player focused on getting to the core to stop the impending collapse. Initially, we tried to reflect that urgency through Alyx's behavior and acting. This proved to be unsustainable, however. If the player didn't choose to advance, Alyx eventually ran out of lines or animations and was forced into her very non-urgent idle states. We found that the best approach was for Alyx to have such implicit trust in and sympathy with the player that she's always content to proceed at whatever pace the player chooses. Once we adopted this principle, lines where Alyx sounded impatient or frustrated with the pace of progress quickly stood out and were cut.
In any of those other games, you will have the exact same problem they said. You will have those goddamn annoying NPCs forcing you to hurry up. Ah, that was so damn annoying.
We created a new Citadel destruction set of broken Combine panels and prefabs for the interior spaces, to help make the Citadel look like it was on the verge of exploding. We also introduced a strong ambient orange color to help sell the fact that the Citadel was in a much different state from the last time the player passed through. The orange atmosphere was justified due to all the fires and smoke inside the Citadel.
Good thinking.
that was not good thinking, it was simple thinking. No, better get the fuck out of here.
Talk about unstable.
I really don't think we should hang around.
The primary goal of the first Citadel map is to communicate to players that the Citadel is falling apart. The Vortex was a late addition to the game, in an effort to beef up the idea that the Citadel was becoming a very dangerous place. We had particular difficulty in conveying the danger zone here. In early playtests, players thought that the entire bridge was dangerous at all times. Some additional effects work helped let players know where the dangerous areas were. We would have loved to base more gameplay on this Vortex idea, but we just didn't have the time.
Look at her, running. You serious? She took that long to get through this. Yes, of course we made it. Oh, this is a place where I got my weapons stolen from me. I remember this.
We revealed the pod here to let players see it up close. At the same time, we didn't want players to get too good a look at what's inside.
What the hell are those
An
things?
old version of the scene had the pod simply hanging from the ceiling. It would burst open and then charge up your gravity gun, but not do much else. The current scene gives us a much more dramatic reveal of the pod, and an opportunity to introduce the mind blasts it's capable of emitting. Though they don't play a large role in Episode 1, these guys were a functional requirement of Episode 2, which meant we effectively had to ship a piece of that episode early.
God, it's just an old recording.
The host body must be joking. I can't possibly. Oh, all right, damn it, that's what it takes. Just hurry, he's right behind me.
What the hell?
Yeah, that's the host.
We decided this space needed to look unique and appear to have more significance than the rest of the Citadel areas the player had already traveled through, while at the same time feeling as though it was still made with combined technology. This room introduces a story point that plays a big role in Episode 2, so the player has to feel like something important is going on in here. A different fog setting, as well as different light styles and configurations, help to achieve this. The red lighting is a good contrast to the traditional blue-green colors.
The fuck, where's the way out? I can't see shit.
What the hell was that thing?
That was the host.
That was, it's gone now. Let's get out of here.
It fucked up our visions really bad.
It's important that the player has some empathy for Alyx, rather than seeing her as just a bullet-spitting robot. The brief recovery scene after the pod mind attack reminds the player that Alyx is also affected by events in the world.
Nicely done, baby. So that was the mind attack. Oh my god. That was not fun to deal with. Ooh.
Gordon?
Oh no.
What's going on in there?
This goddamn room again. The gravity gun has been taken? No, it has been charged.
It did in Frank's portal reactor.
Get in.
I'd say this backfire.
Nah. I have done this shit before. I know exactly what this thing does. Heck, we don't even need anything.
The light bridge ball sockets are a clear example of our training approach to new gameplay elements. We train the players with a leading example, confirm they understand the concept, then switch up the problem set and make them use it in a new way. The first bridge shows players the solution, the second one confirms they understand it, and the third, knowing they understand the gameplay mechanic, challenges them
I have
in
to
a
shoot
new way
this thing
using
down
that
there.
mechanism.
Yeah.
Nice thinking.
Of course.
Soldiers!
bitch!
Impending destruction is a recurring theme in the Citadel. From story, mood, and visual standpoints, this changes the Citadel. The destruction needed to feel natural rather than entirely scripted upon the player's actions. Not showing the destructive events dynamically makes the player assume the level of damage is static. However, if the events are too obviously triggered by player movement, the destruction feels too scripted. We found the solution was to give players glimpses of things that were happening at the periphery of the player space, as well as in their immediate vicinity, to give the feeling that stuff is happening whether the player is present or not. Having trained the player that balls fit into sockets, we wanted to introduce a puzzle where the question was how to get a ball into the socket. The puzzle we came up with involved a socket with an object blocking it, so that the player would have to ricochet the ball into place. This sounded simple until we actually tried to implement it. If we made the covering opaque, playtesters didn't realize that there was a socket behind it. When we made it translucent, they often didn't see it was there, and were confused when their shot bounced off. Making it movable was a red herring, making people think that they could actually knock it away. A couple of subtle art changes helped. We added some more prominent shadowing and made the glass panel flash when it was hit with a ball. Some playtesters consistently searched for a position to get a direct shot, which we didn't discourage as an alternate solution.
You bitch, get the fuck out of the way. Oh, really? That is not the correct... Whoa, what the... Okay, where am I supposed to go? No, pad... Here. This one right here is not the correct one. I think I have to go to this side and try to shoot. There's something down here. Oh damn, I don't see anything. Wait a second. We're supposed to hit something here. Okay, that did not help. Let's save the game. Undo alarm. Let's give me a new save file. Yeah, jumping down there seems like the perfect way for me to kill myself. Like, legit. What do we have over here? I don't see any place I can use. I'm supposed to shoot at it. Oh, I have to shoot at the thing over here. Oh, alright. That makes sense. We finally managed to solve the puzzle.
There are some little practical details that take a surprising amount of time and testing to get just right. For instance, it took us many playtests to figure out just how fast Alyx should move. It turns out that her falling behavior looks and feels the best when she's moving faster than the player's normal speed, but slower than the player's sprint speed.
Oh, that's good to know. What the hell? Whoa, whoa, what the? I know this place is falling apart, but still.
This dropship scene was another case where we had to be clever about drawing the player's attention to something cool that was about to happen, which the player could easily miss if they weren't looking in the right direction. We used a solitary soldier firing at the player to draw their attention to where the dropship climbs into view. Once the player notices the dropship, there's a good chance they'll watch it until the payoff when it crashes.
Did you see that?
I understand. Wow, that is some clever trick right there. Okay, I think we're supposed to head in this. Yep.
Looks like this could be a transport elevator to the core.
This is where some player training pays off. After earlier training players on the use of ball sockets, they get a sort of live fire test here starting the elevator. This is the beginning of the level's puzzle arc, where a basic gameplay mechanic is made increasingly more complex by layering other puzzle elements on it. The first puzzle only requires that the player find a combine ball and put it in the socket.
Am I dead? No.
Increasingly more complex by layering other puzzle elements on it. The first puzzle only requires that the player find a combine ball and put it in the socket.
Oh god, we need to shoot those things out of the way.
Heads up!
What's wrong with this lift? Can you get it going again?
Okay, I understand. I need to shoot goddamn thing inside. There we go. Now this is the reason why they made Portal and Portal 2 so damn awesome. They understand the principles. Oh my.
Start up again, Gordon. Do what you did last time.
Wait, where's the...
Here we're presenting the player with a now familiar ball socket challenge, but we're also bridging into some new training, showing the player that stalkers can destroy the Combine energy balls.
That hit perfectly.
What's going on?
Oh crap. Okay, we need to find a way to deal with the stalker. Is the goddamn thing dead yet?
Good job.
Let's go. We're really moving now.
I'm still looking
I see
upward.
a stop down below. Let's get off there and see where it leads. Look out! Run!
Oh my god, yeah!
That was close.
If you don't get out of there fast, you will be among the dead. That's it.
Late in development, we changed the art for these doors so that players understood they were entering the core area. It turned out that having Alyx talk about the area wasn't enough to give playtesters the sense that they'd finally arrived at the core.
Yeah. That door has to look kind of special, otherwise people will not notice it. There has to be something here to draw people's attention. Birds.
This could be it, Gordon.
Direct intervention. Intervention, yeah.
More of them.
This is another key vista, this time showing the core. It's a visual payoff for the player's success in getting here, and simultaneously, a way to present the player with a view of the next challenge.
But why?
Oh man. We're supposed to make the jump there.
I hope Dr. Kleiner was right about this.
There has to be a way for me to go.
Let's see if we can find a way through the control room.
You mean this one right here? I have it right there. Wait a second.
Creating a believable, interesting relationship between Gordon and Alyx is made a lot tougher by the fact that Gordon never talks. This elevator scene presented a nice little opportunity to have Alyx express some emotion in a situation where Gordon isn't really in a position to respond.
These readings are off the chart. I hope it's not too late to re-engage the container.
There's a stalker there.
Good thing you know what you're doing. Well, here's your elevator.
Play some elevator music for me.
I wish there was something else I could do to help.
No, don't worry.
Hurry back.
I take care of things down here. Gordon Freeman, the man. You are going to do this.
Core design posed a lot of difficult challenges. Generally speaking, if the gameplay in a particular map isn't working, we can simply cut the entire area. This wasn't true of the core, because we knew it was critical to the story. On top of that, designing Citadel gameplay is often a bigger challenge than working out areas in City 17, largely because Citadel levels have a narrow set of gameplay tools. There are less enemy types available, and the player is usually only armed with the gravity gun. Because of this, we had to go through many iterations of the core design. One of the earlier prototypes was a kind of futuristic version of Operation, where players had to use the gravity gun to cleanly manipulate rods into slots in the core. That didn't work, partly because playtesters found that their view was obstructed by the rods, which made it frustratingly difficult to manipulate them with any kind of precision. We prototyped, playtested, and abandoned several other designs until we finally arrived at one that was fun, while still being challenging enough to give players the sense that they'd accomplished a significant goal.
Yeah, you don't have to do that. To me, baby. I need to make my way up here. Oh crap. Get the fuck out of there.
The difference between skill levels isn't just a matter of damage dealt and received. For instance, in easy mode, we increase the length of time a combine ball survives before exploding, putting less pressure on the player to get the ball into a socket.
Okay. You basically told me the way out. talk about the ball, and I knew that I would have to find a ball to put in there.
The ball tubes are an example of us working within our available toolkit to create a puzzle around a recognized concept. As a physical navigation puzzle, it's different from what the player has experienced before, and it's challenging while not being a binary succeed or fail situation. There are a number of ways to approach this puzzle. In addition to simply dodging, jumping, or ducking the balls, the player can grab or deflect them with his gravity gun, or pick up the hatch and use it as a shield to block the incoming barrage.
Okay, thank you for telling me that. About using this thing as a shield. I wasn't about to use it. And then you teach me right away. There's no way in hell I can... There's no way I can go that fast without using this thing as a shield to help me out. What the hell? Holy fuck.
The Combine core was another new space that needed to stand out from the rest of the environment. We wanted the core to look hot and dangerous, but still be distinct from the fires and the cool blues of the rest of the Citadel. The core became the primary light source in this space, and in conjunction with the white set of Combine materials, we created an extreme contrast to the normally dark values of the Citadel metals.
The core sphere was one of the last special effects that we finished. To achieve this effect, the core uses animated textures, flow maps, normal map refraction and specularity, as well as volumetric particulate matter rendering, which takes advantage of the core being a sphere.
Okay, it looks mesmerizing enough, but I want to get the fuck out. I don't want to get blasted by it. There you go.
The higher contrast white Combine motif of the core sets it apart from the rest of the Citadel and heightens its importance within the visual style of Combine aesthetics. It also helps enhance the perception of heat and radiation in the space.
More and more of these fools are coming down. I heard them talking behind my back.
The core was a central element of this part of the game, and as much as possible, we wanted to constantly reinforce its importance.
Yeah,
zigzagging through the space in 3 dimensions while navigating a variety of challenges let us present a few different visual and gameplay perspectives on the same space. By letting the player see the core from a bunch of different angles, we were able to give them a real sense of its scale.
All I have to do is stay still. And I should be fine. There's Alyx. She's watching me. Ooh. Wait, where did I come from again? Did I... Did I come from over there? I don't remember. Anyway, I'm just going to save the game. That looks like the right way. Though I'm not so sure. Let's hope it is. Yeah, I can hear the combine. This must be the way. Heck, we even have the double tap.
The second ball tube presents a variation of the pattern the player learned in the first ball tube. While the first tube can be crossed slowly, by crouching and maneuvering your way up, the second ratchets up the pace, requiring a quicker, more responsive approach.
Goddamn. God, I finally managed to get the hell out of it. That was freaking difficult to do. Especially since I don't have that shield thingy with me. Oh, crap.
The goal of this logic puzzle isn't figuring out that you need to put balls in batteries. It's coming to the realization that, by filling all of them, you've denied yourself an exit, and that you have to desocket one, climb on the lift, and then resocket it. Sparks guide the player to the source of the balls, which happens to be the tube they just passed through.
Okay, I understand. There we go. No. How can you... Oh, okay. I'll have to do it again. One more time. I need to turn off the flashlight. God damn it. The X powers share the power with the flashlight, and that was... Whoa. My suit is gone. The power for the suit is gone. We're back. Holy crap.
Monitor scenes, such as this video transmission from Dr. Mossman, aren't simply pre-rendered video. These scenes actually unfold live in an inaccessible section of the map, while being projected onto the monitor screen. Here's Dr. Mossman in the small Arctic base set. It's not nearly as far away from the Citadel's core control room as it appears to be in the level.
Alright. Good God. Looking at everything they have to offer, which is really awesome.
Gordon, you did it! The containment system's back in place. It won't last forever, but at least we've bought a little time. While you were in there, I did some poking around in the control data. They were trying to start a chain reaction, all right, but destroying the Citadel is just a side effect. Since we took out Brain's reactor, this is the only way they have to send a transmission packet back to wherever they came from. I can't tell what the packet contains, but it's important enough that they're willing to sacrifice the whole Citadel to send it off. We need to get it back to my dad and Dr. Kleiner at the outpost right away. I've been pulling down a copy. Whatever it is, I have a feeling it's bad news for all of us. There's something else. It's Judith. Take a look.
I'm fairly sure I've pinned down the location of the project. It's hard to say how much of it might have survived intact or whether there's anything remaining that could compromise our work if it were discovered by the Combine. We'll need to take a close look at it, of course, but I should be able to give a better opinion within a few hours. If the site is where we think it is, then it should be no more than... I'm gonna cut this short. We may have been spotted.
Where the hell is she?
Whoa.
She's in serious trouble. We need to get this and the transmission packet to my dad. He'll know what to do with it. The packet's done copying. I've got it right here. Now let's get the hell out of here. Uh-oh. I think they felt that. I've secured an exit elevator. It's this way. Come on! Something tells me they don't want us to leave the mail. This lift will take us to a train platform. If we can hitch a ride, it should take us straight out of the city. Hey, the gravity gun's back to normal. Well, it was nice while it lasted.
Yeah, now she brings out the gun. Can have some base with this awesome thing.
Usually, the second step of our training arcs involve a threatening training area. This is the second step in the roller mine training. In true to form, there's the threat. The indestructible roller mines endlessly attack the player in a gated space. The only way to defeat them is to have Alyx convert them, which means there's no way the player can miss the point of the training. Players also like to see the AI characters fight each other. So after reminding the player about Alyx's roller mine hacking talent, we let you sick them on a pack of Combine soldiers.
They're coming.
It won't be expecting this. Get ready.
Open the door. Oh!
Coast is clear. This is our train. Let's get in. Come on, let's get in.
much the same way that movie effects often utilize different versions of the same model, there are actually 3 trains that make up the
what's in this
Stalkers.
copy we made.
The first one is the moving train you see arrive at
You
the
know, all
platform.
things considered,
The one you're in
we're
right
not
now
doing
is a
this.
static interior with lights moving outside of it to give the illusion of motion. The third train is the crash version. It's a tilted, banged up,
Damn,
and
how
totally
loud.
separate area from the moving version.
This is what
The
happens
transition
to
from
you
moving
if
to
you
crash
resist.
is disguised by a brief fade to black.
Alex's reaction to the Stalkers went through a number of iterations. In very early versions, Alyx was frightened by the Stalkers. That didn't work because it didn't fit with Alex's earlier reactions to Stalkers in the Citadel. We changed it so that she expressed anger at the Stalkers' predicament. Early versions of this new direction failed because Alex's transition from generally upbeat to blind rage was simply too abrupt. Ultimately, through rewrites and rigorous testing,
Thank God we're
we
not
found the right tone for the scene, a simmering anger level that was more in tune
Let's
with
hope
the
the worst is
situation.
over. It looks like you saved our lives again. What's that?
Yeah. Go to crash.
Brace yourself!
Can't move.
We wanted the crash train car to be very disoriented. In early tests, though, players felt that it was too confusing and too hard to navigate. That feedback prompted us to tone it down a bit. By rearranging some of the geometry, we were able to create a banged environment that still offered a relatively unobstructed path to Alyx.
This is another multi-purpose scene. First, Alyx is visibly shaken, which once again humanizes her.
I gotta catch my breath.
But she also states the player's goal for the second half of the game: climb to the surface and get to the train station.
Okay. Well, this might not be as easy as I thought. We're in the same boat as the other evacuees now. On foot to a train station. Let's head for the surface.
You can take care of this thing, right? I need a gun. Oh, now we're going to deal with the zombies.
I hear turrets.
Okay, wait for it a little bit. I need the flashlight to return so I can move.
I can't see a thing. I'm blind as a bat without that flashlight on. We need to get through that door. Damn, it's got a powered lock. How are we gonna get this open? Let's see if we can find a power box.
Get out of the way.
I've heard stories about you and air ducts. Dr. Kleiner says whenever he locked himself out of his office, you and Barney used to compete to see who could get in fastest without using a key.
What am I doing? I can do this. Shoot something all the way down there. That'll give me the light source. Need it. Oh crap. Shit. This goddamn thing crashed on me. Okay, let's stay up here a little bit. We'll have to deal with those things once we land down there.
Before we armed players with traditional weapons, we wanted to give them a chance to appreciate Alyx's combat abilities. Toward that goal, we created a very specific combat style for the early parts of the journey outside the Citadel. Dark, tense, surrounded by zombies, and either weaponless or starved for ammo. So the players needed to rely on the gravity gun, and more importantly, Alyx. This is where players finally get a weapon. Since the door only opens when the padlock is shot, players can't proceed without finding the pistol. It's effectively a weapon gate. Once players are through the door, we can be sure they've got a pistol.
You guys are fucking amazing. That's it. That's what I'm going to say.
Originally, the player couldn't operate the power boxes, and would have to wait for Alyx to do it. We thought it'd be entertaining to watch Alyx do some cool thing while you protected her.
Nice job.
Unfortunately, that didn't work out. Playtesters were more annoyed than entertained. The other problem was that having Alyx committed to a particular activity while action was still going on in the world tended to quickly expose her most robotic tendencies. She'd either ignore what was going on, or completely stop whatever activity the player was waiting for her to finish. Either way, it was unconvincing and frustrating. What we learned here was that whenever Alyx commits to some action in a dynamic environment, she needs to finish it quickly and move on.
The darkness in this area has a few real gameplay benefits. It slows the player down, which most of the time keeps Alyx at your side. The claustrophobia, the close-in combat, and Alyx's constant presence and reliance on your flashlight help enhance the tension and your sense of camaraderie. In the dark, the limited flashlight battery adds an extra layer of resource management to the tactics of combat.
Oh, come on, Alyx. God damn you. Oh, wait a second. I heard something. Yeah, I'll be the one with the flashlight. All you have to do is shoot it. Goddamn thing. Are you fucking serious? What is that goddamn gun? Is that a Glock 17? She shoots those bullets freaking fast.
Initially, the player wasn't going to have a weapon here. The combination of no weapon and near total darkness forced the player to use the flashlight to direct Alyx's fire. We liked the idea that you could interact with Alyx in a meaningful way, using elements that were already built into the interface. Unfortunately, playtesters didn't like not having a weapon, so we added weapons back in. Luckily, it turned out that, even armed, players tended to still use and enjoy the flashlight mechanic.
Of course, nobody wants to be defenseless in the dark. It's fucking scary. Hey, behind you.
Antlion's here? The Combine's defense field must have collapsed. Makes sense if it was powered by the Citadel.
He's trying to make a joke here. It's kind of dark, we can still see things, so it's not that bad. Wait for you.
Looks like we found a troop.
If you don't like Alyx, you're not going to have much fun with episode 1. So Alyx being likable was one of our most crucial design goals.
Little moments like the Zombine joke are designed to make Alyx more endearing. Since we like to multitask, it also had the practical purpose of introducing a new monster. The success of the scene relied on a combination of dialogue, voice acting, and animation. Surprisingly, lighting was really important too. Under red light, Alyx's self-deprecating groan looked more like she was sneering at the player for not getting the joke.
Crap!
Changing the lighting to blue and then adjusting the direction of the light so that it changed the shadows on her face fixed the problem.
Yeah, we saw that.
It's important that monsters get very deliberate introductions, since players are going to interact with them a lot. Generally, we let the player first see a new monster in a safe environment, so they can start thinking about it before they have to fight it.
Yeah, you have told us about this before. We'll have to deal with those goddamn fucking annoying piece of shit.
The soundtrack here was created for the introduction of a new adversary, the Combine Zombie, or Zombine. Discordant guitar tones and bends and a lo-fi fast beat work in the background of this encounter to create an off-balance and disturbing mood.
Holy crap! Whoa, what the fuck, Alyx? Jesus Christ! Okay there? Whoa, what the fuck?
We always try to exploit a feature as much as possible throughout a game. For instance, these flares. They're an exploration reward, they've got a simple, satisfying interaction with the gravity gun, and they're a good tactical alternative to the flashlight. Finally, they're a weapon that will ignite zombies, which in turn become a new light source.
For Episode 1, we implemented a scripting component called the Response Rules System for dynamically managing NPC speech. We wanted to take NPC speech out of the hands of the programmers and let the writers control it. The writers were able to set up a wide range of situationally triggered character responses. For instance, Alyx has different reactions to different enemies, can warn the player of danger, calls for help when she's mobbed, and will ask for light. The combat responses worked out great, but it's especially satisfying when Alyx's comments on some situation mirror your own thoughts. The writers really went crazy with this, so be on the lookout for lots of little Easter egg responses to unusual situations.
That's what I'm going to say. Fucking amazing. We light up this place. Now what? I can't do anything else. That seems to take care of this thing over here. Yeah, now we can get across. Nice! Return to the light. Oh god!
I hate these things.
Poison headcrabs are ideal for ambushes because they startle you but can't actually kill you. Here, after a series of right-hand turns, you round a corner into a dead end. While you're cracking open a box of goodies, you're ambushed by poison headcrabs. Constructing the ambush this way increased the odds that you wouldn't see the crab, but you would hear it just in time to turn around as it leapt at your head.
Oh, for the love. God damn it, Alyx, you pushed me out of the way. Damn you.
The antlion hole training is unusual because it requires the player to learn a new skill in combat. This is a rare case where training occurs under duress, so Alyx states the problem and helps in the fight without giving away the solution.
can't do this with this thing fucking me over. Fuck you, Alyx, help me out! Yeah, until I do that, there's no way.
Good idea, Gordon. Wow, I wouldn't have thought you could plug up the bulb.
Man, I should have seen that thing coming. Yeah, man, I should have used a car. Oh my god.
Keep that barnacle in your life.
It's nice that all you have to do is to aim at those things, and then she'll take care of the rest.
You fight alongside Alyx for much of episode 1, so her combat really needed to look varied and exciting. We especially wanted to get her into some kind of convincing physical contact with her enemies. We'd always wanted to do this kind of dynamic character interactions, but getting the NPCs into position for their interactions has a pretty wide-ranging set of problems. So we ended up taking an opportunistic approach for episode 1, where instead of figuring out how to maneuver characters into proximity, the system monitors their positions and fires the appropriate animations whenever it notices that they're correctly aligned. Given how well these interactions worked out between Alyx and zombies, headcrabs and antlions, we're really looking forward to extending this kind of behavior to all of our NPCs.
Yeah, sure. Stop that shit already. God. Ooh. Alyx, get out of the way, please. I need to move. Alright. Wait. Oh, okay. This is a way. Eventually, we'll have to get over there. Okay, we'll have to close that.
I can get a better shot if you knock them over, Gordon.
We need a car or something to push those things down. There's another car up here. Objective is to push the car down to the hole to stop them from spawning in. Do that and you should be fine.
This 3-level parking garage is where the antlion burrow training pays off. Because we've taught the player the burrow blocking mechanic earlier in a less hectic environment, the problem here becomes not what to do with the burrows, but where to find the cars to block them while fighting off a horde of antlions. The burrows themselves went through several iterations. At first, playtesters had a hard time seeing them, and once they'd push the car onto one, they often weren't sure if the hole was actually sealed. We eventually solved both of these problems by adding a particle effect to the burrows. This effect makes them recognizable even at a distance, and its absence is a clear indication that the burrow is blocked.
There's one more car up here somewhere. Need to find it. It's over there. Uh-huh. I don't care what happened to me, just push the goddamn thing in there. Now that we have dealt with those holes in the ground, time for us to get the fuck out of here.
We generally design and prototype the basic gameplay in a level before we apply much art to it. Throughout the first several months of playtesting this garage map, the geometry was nothing more than basic shapes and textures. After we finalized most of the gameplay elements, we began to flesh out the visuals for the area. For this level, we left the office and took reference pictures of various garages. From these shots, we pulled out everything we liked and that we thought we could pull off well. We combined these visual highlights into what we call a style guide map, which is a standalone map with no gameplay that we use strictly as visual reference. For this level, we actually made two style guides, one a destroyed garage, the other intact. After the look was established, we brought the playable map's visual quality up to the level of the style guides. Often a map's geometry needs to be changed as the art goes in because areas that worked in the abstract version no longer make sense in a map that now looks like a real place. For instance, the side rooms where two of the cars are hidden were moved several times in order to make them feel more naturally part of the parking garage.
And now she finally decided to follow me. Alyx got froze there. She was kind of stuck. Oh my god.
Oh, yeah. You're lucky you've got that hazard suit. This water's nasty. Got room for 2 in there?
Episode 1 is our first project to use HDR lighting heavily in dark indoor environments. The interaction between the flashlight and the auto exposure calculations done for HDR presented a real technical challenge. In dark areas where the flashlight was the only source of illumination, we found that we'd often end up with grossly overexposed views. We ended up compensating for this by using a different set of exposure parameters when the flashlight was turned on. In particular, we drastically shrunk the region of the screen examined for exposure calculations, which permitted us to concentrate only on the much smaller area lit by the flashlight.
Okay, this infamous spot where you will have to deal with the elevator. It is not going to be fun.
This area is the dramatic culmination of all the lightless combat that comes before it. We wanted to create a dynamic fight that lasted several minutes while we waited for the elevator to arrive. The first iteration of this battle was very different from what we eventually shipped. The space was larger, had water in it, and wasn't completely dark. Water is relatively expensive performance-wise, so we cut that in favor of more zombies. We made the level smaller to ensure that the player would see the elevator and recognize the problem that needed to be solved before the fight started. We killed the lights both to enhance tension and to make the scene a final test of the dark fighting skills that the player develops over the course of the episode. Finally, we added a wire running along the ceiling from the elevator to the power box to give players a guide as they familiarize themselves with the area.
Okay, I can see the flare. I understand your intentions, thank you. I'm going to take those things. Once you decide to turn on this thing, you'll have to fight, you have to hold them off. You better be prepared, because otherwise you're going to get fucked.
In early versions of the episode, Alyx was much more vocal about giving the player hints. However, playtests showed it was much more satisfying for the players when Alyx stated a goal and then stepped aside until that goal was accomplished. Because of that feedback, almost all of Alyx's hint lines were cut. Eventually, though, we discovered through more playtesting that although players didn't like having Alyx hand them unsolicited hints, they did want to be able to explicitly request help from her. So we added some of the hint dialogue back in, but it's only accessible at the player's request by plus using Alyx. Unfortunately, we learned these hint lessons late in the development cycle and didn't have time to properly train players for this feature. We plan to integrate the hint-on-demand dialogue more thoroughly in future episodes.
Our art and gameplay standards encourage players to build a visual dictionary that defines how they expect things to work in the Half-Life world. For instance, even though the door to the power box room is metal, and would probably have a metal crossbar holding it shut, we barred it with a wooden plank. Because we've been consistent throughout the game, the player should recognize that a wooden plank can be both broken and manipulated with a gravity gun, properties that wouldn't be immediately apparent about a metal bar.
Just shoot them down there. I'll need to hold them off down there. Running around in the dark is not a fun experience. Anybody who's still alive can tell you that. Who the fuck just worked? Well, at least she's not going to get the friendly fire thing, which is nice. Like, we have a shit tons of health and everything. Oh my god, behind you.
We're really happy with the Zombies grenade behavior. It has sudden danger spikes to the zombie horde, which force players to quickly prioritize the targets. And since the player can grab a grenade out of the zombie stand with the gravity gun, these danger spikes can be converted into offensive opportunities. This kind of turnaround skill shot creates some dynamic, satisfying hero moments for the player. Originally, we didn't allow the player to snatch zombie grenades because we fairly broke the fiction of the gravity gun. If players could grab a zombie grenade, why couldn't they grab the combine soldier's gun? After playtesting the grenade steal though, fun went out over consistency.
I know what I have to do, but I'm going to wait it out a little bit. What the hell? Alright, let's save the game here. I'm about to get fucked here.
Hey, I hear the elevator. It's moving again. Oh, and here comes trouble. Keep your light on.
I need to save my fast light power. What the fuck?
What's taking so long? Light that thing up. Any time now. It's here. Let's go. Let's get out of here.
Oh my god.
That was close.
Yeah, of course. I don't want to get, you know, right there with those goddamn things. Jesus fucking Christ.
Oh my god.
They're everywhere.
I hope it's still light out.
Took us long enough to get out there. I can't see anything in the dark. Up and
Thank
fly.
God, it's still day. Let's get out of here. Oh God, no. No, it's locked. I can't believe this.
I saw the valve.
Can you see any way to get this open?
That's it. See if the crank still works. Come on, Gordon, crank that thing. Great. Okay, let's get to the train yard before the Citadel blows.
Yeah, let's do it.
This City 17 vista is an explicit visual reward for surviving the elevator battle. Since early playtesters told us that we weren't communicating just how damaged the city was, this sweeping view of an extremely messed up City 17 serves a practical purpose, as well as being a nice moment of calm between storms. The framing of your first view of the Citadel in this vista space is very deliberate. We included various leading elements, such as wires and light poles, that all drive the player's eye to the Citadel.
The destabilization of the City 17 reactor has had repercussions that were not entirely unexpected.
One thing we try to do when we're integrating storytelling and gameplay, something that's become a hallmark of ours, is to include nonlinear bits of narrative. Things that action-oriented players don't have to sit through, but that are available to players who want to learn more about the background of the story. Kleiner's broadcasts on the public address monitors are a good example of this method. Apart from the strong visual image of Dr. Kleiner replacing his former boss on the giant screens, his speech conveys a lot of dense information about the state of the world and how things have changed due to the events of Half-Life 2. We settled on this particular location for the Kleiner cast as one of the few logical places where players can watch in peace or move on to the next encounter. It's essentially a footnote embedded in the world, which makes this a footnote on a footnote.
Later in the level, there's a combine gunner protected behind some metal plates, just like the ones blocking the player's way here. We placed them here as a training tool to remind players that you're absolutely
They're looking for something. Probably us.
Repelling soldiers presented a difficult training problem because we found it's tough to focus the player's attention upward. This entire alley was carefully designed to ensure that the player would see the descending soldiers. First, we framed the soldiers with a straight line of buildings. Then we had them run across the rooftops so they were starkly silhouetted against the sky before they dropped down in front of the lightly colored buildings. Finally, we added a distinctive sound to the repelling action so that the players would recognize it later in the game.
During the commentary, nobody spoke.
I was hoping we'd get a bit farther before they noticed us again.
Character AI is all about putting on a good show. As we neared the end of production, we were still unhappy with the way that Alyx handled herself in combat. The most common thing she did was run backwards while shooting at the enemies. It was fairly realistic, but kind of boring. So we added crouching and aiming at the last minute, and though it didn't really change her combat effectiveness in any functional way, it made her a whole lot more fun to watch. And this is a really good example of how these relatively minor presentations and behavior changes can often have a really major impact on entertainment value.
Jesus.
The post-Half-Life 2 look of City 17 was difficult to nail down, and we went through many changes. We wanted to establish several things, primarily that this was a different part of the same city with a slightly different atmosphere, and that it had been severely damaged. This street was a test bed for a lot of our visual design work. First, we built an intact city street, then we beat up certain buildings, in some cases removing them entirely so that more destruction was visible in the distance. We did initial lighting pass in the game engine and then took screenshots of various locations. Using Photoshop, we manipulated those screenshots to establish a color scheme. Photoshop lets us quickly iterate through all kinds of skies, lighting styles, and color schemes. The environmental lighting colors that we ended up with were based on some photo references of the sun filtering through smoke from a forest fire. Some falling ash effects and a closer than usual fog plane helped sell the effect.
Yeah. I'm not planning to walk around there without triggering the traps.
I'll cover the street while you figure this out.
Trip mine traps are great, but they were sort of hard to justify given the total chaos of City 17. Even though we couldn't use trip mines a lot, they made sense in this interrupted ambush scene.
Wait a fucking second. Oh, I understand. We have another one of those. Goddamn. Physics puzzles that requires you to just, you know, throw all those things up here. Without this thing will not be moved down. We have the weight puzzle. Time to do that. Most basic puzzle of all time. Yeah, thank you. Okay. Hopefully we're good. You serious? You're fucking serious. This is not good enough, or this is not enough weight. I mean, I need enough weight for this thing, but it's not working. Come on, baby. Damn it. You're just going to sit outside and wait for me to solve the puzzle.
Trip mine traps are great, but they were sort of hard to justify given the total chaos of City 17. Even though we couldn't use trip mines a lot, they made sense in this interrupted ambush scene.
I've done everything I can think of. Well, I've placed pretty much everything here. Please tell me this is enough. I mean, come on. Oh, fucking hell. Okay. Now we can get through this and let's do this.
Nicely done. Let's head upstairs.
This explosion permanently seals the cafe door, which has a few benefits. From a design perspective, we found that when we limit the amount of backtracking players can do, it gives them confidence to venture forward. And from a practical standpoint, we can clean up the now unreachable entities, giving us a big reduction in overhead. It also helps to minimize potential bugs and exploits. Originally, the player didn't get any weapons until the end of this map, so roller mines were the only way to kill the soldiers. As we added more content to previous levels, it became impractical for players to be without a gun for so long. As a result, players get weapons much earlier now.
We need some way to take out those guns.
Alright, managed to get over here. At least I can save the game here. Fuck.
Looks like we're gonna have to slug our way through here. The longer we take finding the train station, the more dangerous it gets. Nice toss, Gordon. That sniper almost took my head off. Let me climb up and take a look at what we're walking into. Uh-oh. They've got the street fortified up ahead. You run point, okay? I'll cover you from up here till you reach the far end. When the coast is clear, I'll catch up. Okay, looks like I can get that ladder down to you. Let me shoot out the latch. I might be a little rusty with this rifle. Nope, guess I'm not.
Now we have the sniper Alyx covering our ass.
One of the primary design goals of Episode 1 was to convey the sense that Alyx and the player are a team. This sniper sequence provides an opportunity for Alyx to offer combat support in a cool new way. It also gives the player a chance to watch zombies get sniped up close and from various angles.
Jesus Christ. Her accuracy is holy fuck. How many times have you been helped by the, you know, so-called companions? Not a lot, I assume. Most of the times they will just get in your way.
Players didn't have any weapons in the original version of this map. That made it a lot more important to remove the boards with the gravity gun so that Alyx could snipe the zombies. Once weapons were added though, the skybridge became less of a puzzle and more of a straightforward combat. We added more zombies to increase the challenge, but pulling the boards off is still the most fun way to get through this section.
Jesus. No question asked, just unparalleled support from her. God damn, Alyx. She's just so good. You just have to appreciate her. We have this goddamn back. Alright, time for me to save the game. Yes. Oh shit, I have to take care of those things fast. I saw them coming out. With her support from all the way over there. Holy shit. God damn, she doesn't miss. Yeah. How the fuck am I supposed to get in? What? Let's just keep on coming in.
Better find Barney and get moving.
Wait, what are you doing? How can you close this thing?
Glad that's over.
Yeah, I'm glad to. But what the?
Oh, God. Looks like the reactor's back on track for a meltdown. That transmission's going out after all. I'd like to find another way around these buildings, but we really don't have time. Okay, let's get in. Come on.
Our AI is inherently unscripted, which means that we have to design spaces that permit our characters to make good choices. The AI is better able to make intelligent decisions when there are alternate routes to the combat space. This hallway started out as a straight-shot corridor with a door at the end for soldiers to enter through, but this design didn't provide the AI with enough choices to make the soldier behavior very interesting. Adding an additional space on the side allowed them to find cover and flank the player, both of which dramatically improved the entertainment value of this encounter.
Get away from the doors! Oh, I can't wait to see what Dad
The first prototype of Episode 1's door blast effect was here in the Combine garrison. Being peppered with chunks of wood while soldiers poured into the room through a haze of smoke proved to be an effective dramatic tool. It was also an excellent way to simultaneously ungate the player and flood the area with enemies. It was so unanimously successful in playtests that we ended up adding it in several places throughout the episode.
Oh shit. I know what it means. We need to shoot those things down. We need them for later use. Alright, let's jump down.
At this point in the action, we really felt that we needed a combat crescendo. Antline guards make great boss challenges. We decided to add some combat forces to the mix because watching AI characters fight each other is always intriguing. This set up a few other pitfalls as well. Since players had previously only fought alone against the guards, this was the first time they'd actually witnessed secondhand the effects of the guard headbutt. They'd also see an APC in action, and in case there was any doubt, get definite proof that combat soldiers and antline guards don't get along, underscoring the collapse of Combine dominance in City 17.
Oh, for the love of God. Jesus! Okay, I need to take care of that thing first. What the fuck? What the?
Antline guard arenas have a few specific design requirements. For instance, since the guard is only armed with a melee attack, we can't let the player reach any place that's inaccessible to the guard, such as rooftops and other high perches, that the player can only arrive at after being launched by a guard headbutt. The arenas also need plenty of physics objects for the guard to toss, and at least one unlimited ammo crate, so that the player can't run out of ammunition before killing the guard. For this battle, we also introduced a steady stream of regular antlions to limit the player's ability to constantly circle the antlion guard.
Yeah, I understand the purpose. God, it was so fucking annoying. What the hell happened to my health?
In early versions of this area, there was no side passage off the street, and the gash in the road was created by the gunship that the player later fights in a hospital attic. As development progressed, however, gameplay, story, and performance requirements made this initial design unworkable. The new side passage provided a short break in the combat tension after the boss battle, and also helped us stay within our performance budget.
Seem to be in high demand today, Gordon.
Okay, that seems to be the way. What do we have over here? Wait a fucking second. I'm supposed to go over there. Alright, let's just go in here. Oh.
Oh, I'm back so soon?
Hey. Stop making jokes. I'm going to get those things. Let's use a gravity gun. You don't have to be a smart ass every time you try to do something. Alyx. That shit's just so annoying. Oh crap. Okay. What the fuck am I supposed to do? Oh my.
After the Antlion Guard fight, playtesters were reporting some combat fatigue. We decided to include an environmental puzzle here to break up the pacing before the subsequent street battle. We originally worried that a densely packed room full of hopper mines, trip mines, and explosive barrels was a little too implausible. But playtesters loved the sudden reveal of the room and then enjoyed navigating it, so this ended up being another case where we accepted a trade-off between fun and maintaining a strictly consistent fiction.
Yeah, I understand. Fuck, I hate this Skype puzzle. Jesus, how the fuck am I supposed to make the jump without killing myself? Oh. You're careless, you'll move those things by mistake, and that will end up blowing up everything here. And of course, you cannot go back. This thing goes boom boom, you're doomed. Fuck.
At one point, this was the site of a physically simulated elevator puzzle. It was kind of neat, but it caused a lot of problems in playtests. Even though the puzzle mostly obeyed the laws of physics, it wasn't all in line with the way we had trained players to expect elevators to work in our world. We considered adding some earlier training to support it, but quickly abandoned the idea in favor of a redesign that was more immediately understandable while still being fun.
Yeah. Ooh. Oh shit. Wait. What the f... Are you fucking serious? It took this thing that long to blow up? What now? Don't even tell me I have to deal with more of those stupid ass zombies. Oh no, oh no, oh no! I was trying to switch to the gun. Yeah, that should take care of the problem. Are you kidding me? I'm already... No, 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 what are you doing? Okay. Okay, this is the earlier room. I'm not going to do anything there. Okay, now we need to go down. Oh god, what happened? Oof. Don't do any more of those dropping thingy. That shit sucks, man. Oh crap. Let me test this thing out. Might end up dying here. All I'm going to say is a fucking miracle you're still alive.
There you are. I thought you might have forgotten about me.
Are you kidding me? It took me fucking ages to get out of that goddamn spot. Of course I'm not going to forget about you. Oh. Hey, Alyx.
Uh-oh. Here we go again.
Oh shit. Here we go again.
Get back.
What on earth are you doing, Alyx? Yeah, we have those people helping us out. Holy shit.
Wait for me!
Holy crap. Holy shit, guys. Good job. Good fucking job. Okay, there's a mine somewhere. Sorry, almost kill you.
What are you still doing here? Everyone should clear out of the city.
The Combine's not making it easy. We're trying to get enough people together to force our way through to the train station. People are meeting up in a safe house nearby.
Can you take us there?
You bet. Let's go. This way.
Yeah, let's take us to the train station. Nicely done, baby.
Hey, it's me. Open the door.
What's the password?
I'm not even gonna tell you to shut up.
Come on in.
Wow, holy crap. That was a password.
Chains important to the process of embryonic development were selectively prevented from forming. This is no longer the case. For those so inclined, now would be an excellent time for procreation. Which is to say, in layman's terms, you should give serious consideration to doing your part for the revival of the species.
Get busy?
We must make the most of the time we have, as it is by no means certain how much time we have secured ourselves before the Combine as they certainly
Let's
shall.
find another way.
Since this is, in fact, the first opportunity we have had to speak openly of and in fact, I hope to institute in the days ahead.
What the love of God, those. That god fucking damn piece of shit. I can't even move. Okay.
Destabilization of the City 17 reactor has had repercussions that were not entirely unexpected.
And you blocked the way. Fuck me over as well, Alyx. I don't want to say anything about it. You know, fuck it. I don't care. Just get me out of here.
This space was designed to lure players onto a section of breakable floor that drops them into a room full of zombies. The players are enticed into the trap by some reward items and a chance to peek in the hole. We like to surprise players, but we never want them to feel like they've been treated unfairly.
Even so, there is greater reason for hope now than at any time in the past decade. We have made, in secret, several technological advances which we will do our best to deploy in advance of the Combine's return. We continue to diligently assemble and train a new generation of is not any tangible human weapon, but
Gordon! Alyx? I don't believe it. How the hell did you get out of the Citadel?
We're not exactly sure. All I know is the Vortigots had something to do with it. But what about you, Barney?
I'm doing okay, just going crazy trying to...
Found us!
Aw, hell, Gordon, were you followed again?
We stole some information from the Citadel on our way out. I don't know what it is yet, but it's important enough that they've been hounding us the whole way here.
Well, that puts the pressure on. Look, we gotta get moving. You guys know about the evacuation trains, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we've been planning to make a push on the train station. Now it looks like we're gonna have to cut a path through every chicken ship metro cop who's having second thoughts about defending City 17.
If Gordon and I took a separate route, we could draw the Combine away from you. That'd give you a chance to get the trains filled up before we get there.
Really? Well, if you say so. Now, come here, look over here. Okay,
Barney,
across this
like Dr.
bridge,
Kleiner,
over the
is one of the
rooftop, there's a
characters
safe
with the
path to the
deepest
station.
roots in Half-Life 1. His
head that
personality
way.
is
I'll
more
hit the streets
iconic
around
and
up,
retains
everyone
more of
has
the
been
comic
waiting.
stylization
We'll meet
of
you
the
there.
first game.
Sounds good.
This type of character
Let's go.
allows us to mix up the mood a
Gordon,
little
before
bit,
you go,
to inject some absurd humor into the otherwise grim scenarios of the Half-Life universe. While characters such as Alyx and Eli Vance have allowed us to explore more realistic thematic possibilities, we're still very much attached to our roots in satire and black humor.
Yeah, you don't have to do that. You give me back my crowbar.
Barney's
That's
big
good
crowbar
enough.
scene here required a few tricks to pull off. There are actually 3 separate crowbar models in this sequence. First, there's the one stuck in the machine. When Barney grabs that one, we remove it from the world and switch on a second crowbar that's been in Barney's hand the entire time, only invisible. Both of these models are purely decorative, so as soon as Barney makes his tossing motion, we hide the second crowbar and create a third usable crowbar that then bounces to the ground.
That's good enough for me to know, but I don't really care. Yeah, sure. And for some reason, she still managed to stay alive after that. Hey, Alyx, what are you doing? You're right behind me. Well, I didn't even see that. I thought she was just going to stay there the entire...
Hey, a hospital. Keep an eye out for medical supplies.
storage room.
Whenever possible, we like to foreshadow impending boss battles by introducing the enemy before the actual fight. In this case, you know you're going to be seeing that gunship again pretty soon.
That commentary thing really doesn't help a lot. You know what? Whatever. Okay, we need something to help me fight them. This will not be an easy battle, that's for sure. Let's save the game right here before things are going to shit. Where the fuck is the thing?
We designed this gunship battle to create a dynamic, evolving experience, while still keeping the player within a constrained area. Initially, the space appears straightforward and provides plenty of cover. As the environment gets progressively more damaged, combat becomes more challenging. Players are increasingly open to enemy fire, and the path to the rocket layer is more difficult to navigate. As the roof breaks apart, however, the gunship also becomes more visible, and therefore easier to hit, keeping things relatively in balance. The lighting in this area was tuned to play off of the HDR tone mapping effects between the dark inner spaces and the progressively open, bright sky above.
Alyx, what the fuck are you doing, Alyx? Oh my god. It's going down.
Instead of letting the gunship AI have its own way here, we forced the ship to crash right into the enemy. It's a dramatic payoff for winning the battle, and it gives players an opportunity to examine a gunship up close at the...
Fuck. I don't know why she managed to hide. God damn. I don't see enough. Battle with the buttons. Strider, this one is a little bit easier.
Wow! I mean, holy... That was... Jesus, Gordon, you're a real terror.
Of course, I'm awesome.
Maybe you should whack it with a crowbar just in case.
You don't have to make that joke. Come on. Hey, let's move.
You ready?
Oh.
God, not again.
Seriously? You guys can't give me a fucking moment to appreciate this. Okay.
So much for medical supplies. I found a shotgun.
The hospital was a completely new interior space that we had to design pretty much from scratch. Like most of City 17's visuals, it was inspired by Eastern European architecture. The surgery lamps and the overall white and yellow color scheme were drawn from photos of a hospital in Chernobyl. The tile work and the high archways were chosen to give the area the institutional feel of an old European hospital, and the beds were based on some World War II images. In fact, we avoided modern-looking fixtures and furniture altogether in order to differentiate the place from a contemporary hospital.
This game is really short. What the fuck?
We designed this area to be an entertaining showcase for NPC combat. Because of our dynamic AI, these kinds of battles never really play out the same way twice. Players often like to sit back, watch the show, and then dive into the fray at their own discretion. We also felt it was time to introduce a new combat ability for Alyx, so we gave her a shotgun here. Not only are shotguns terrific for zombie hunting, their size and ponderous handling characteristics make for some great combat animations.
Fuck, this thing turns around freaking fast. Let's move, baby. That enemy is trying to attack me from behind. That went way too far. Let's go, baby. What the fuck was that? Saw that the very last second. Okay. Let's watch them fighting each other. Oh, you're using the shotgun as well. Oh crap. Ooh. I didn't even have to do anything. What the fuck, Alyx? Why the fuck are you blocking the path?
I hate these things.
Are you fucking serious? You blocked the fucking way back. I cannot believe my eyes. I turn around then I see you caught blocking me. Oh my god.
The door-banging zombies were supposed to give players a safe glimpse of a threat they'd have to face later in the level. In the original design, players couldn't open the door. The zombies would burst through on their own after the player had done a little exploring. We abandoned that plan when many playtesters exhibited a pretty much single-minded fascination with opening the door as soon as they saw it. We made the door openable, though if players ignore it, the zombies will eventually break it down themselves.
To make the set of empty corridors look like a hospital, we chose some iconic hospital props that could be used multiple times throughout the level. Then we built the models with details, multiple skins, and vertical and horizontal elements that would be visually interesting in the space.
What the hell's going on in here? We don't need those ammos. Alright, time for me to go down. Oh shit. Gotta swim fast. Again with those goddamn things. I'm running out of ammo. I'm sorry. Battery for the flashlight. Also the battery for the suit. Which is so fucking weird. Why the fuck would you do that? What the fuck? Holy shit. Where am I supposed to put this thing?
Toxin levels detected. Automatic medical engaged. Morphine administered.
I hate this kind of break. The goddamn game forces you to deal with this.
Too much of the same type of uninterrupted gameplay causes fatigue. Through repeated playtests, we learned that by the time players reached this part of the hospital, they were ready for a break from the intense combat. In response to that feedback, we inserted this relatively calm exploration puzzle as a change of pace. It gives players a respite from combat while still presenting them with an interesting challenge.
How the fuck I managed to get past these tubes without getting caught in? I mean, seriously, what the fuck? How? Serious now? Okay, where's the thing? High voltage. I think I need to keep this thing here somehow. That kind of worked out. Okay, now the problem is how am I supposed to get over there without killing myself? Jesus. High voltage thingy. This should kill me right away. I don't see any way to get across this without getting damaged. Fuck. So now what? Now we save the game, that's for sure. I think I understand what I need to do. I need to drag that thing back here. Need to put you underneath this. Oh, Jesus Christ. Turn this thing off. You fucking piece of shit, I thought you're dead. Oh, there we go. That was just so fucking annoying to deal with. This puzzle is not that hard, it's just... What the fuck am I stuck on? For the love of God. Oh, come on. I'm sick of this shit. Fucking hell. I'm finally out. can hear gunshots. Alyx is fighting those things.
Sorry about leaving you alone down there, Gordon. I got a bit swamped.
It's okay.
I see you did all right without me.
Oh god. Yeah, I'm about to kill that thing real fast. I don't care. As long as it dies, I won't have to worry about it anymore. If not, we'll have a big ass problems trying to dodge all of those things at the same time. What the? Are they coming in?
Here they come.
This turret scenario was designed to showcase Alyx's ability to provide cover for players in combat. She always hangs back a little, blasting anything that moves. In the original version, players could knock over lightly protected turrets with a single rocket fired from the safe end of the corridor. We thought it'd be a nice way for players to feel like they'd pulled one over on the Combine. Unfortunately, playtesters routinely thought that they'd discovered a bug, or, at best, an exploit that had arisen from sloppy design. So in this case, a situation we deliberately created to make the players feel clever actually caused them to think we weren't doing our job very well. As a result of this feedback, we added a force field and additional grading to better protect the turrets.
What you're seeing here is a visual representation of a node graph, a set of nodes and all the connections between them. The node graph is used by NPCs to figure out how to move around the world. It's not really a specific set of instructions, but rather a sort of information repository. Among other things, NPCs use the node graph to dynamically chart paths to distant areas, find cover, or scout out firing positions with a clear line of sight to their enemy.
Back here, Alyx. Oh my god, you're blocking the way. Jesus. What I'm trying to do is to get in there without killing myself. Whoa, what the fuck? If you take care of the power, the thing will disappear.
At any rate,
The train station.
first, as a matter of great urgency, if you find yourself still within the confines...
Oh boy. They're onto us. Better find Barney and get moving.
We wanted players to realize that they've been spotted and the Combine are now aware of their arrival at the train station. It sounds like a simple task, but it actually took a lot of thought to draw the players' attention to the various events that communicate this message. First, a train horn sounds, which gives Alyx an opportunity to mention that the station is in sight. Next, the lights go off to grab the player's attention and to make the monitors stand out in the dark. At this point, the player should be looking at one of the monitors, so finally, the Kleiner transmission is interrupted briefly by a Combine advisor. Originally, the advisor appeared on a jumbotron outside, but we were never able to reliably make playtesters look at it. The flashing Combine camera should also provide some indication that trouble is brewing. Though it's not a proper gate, the zombie draped over the exit is designed to slow the player down just long enough for Alyx to finish her lines.
Exit 17. Yep, should be the end for the first episode.
I wondered if you were gonna make it in time.
Sorry to keep you waiting. The Combine's on our tail.
We must be pretty damn close to the end.
I'm sending folks out in groups. And like I said before, you can keep them safe and provide cover.
Sounds good. Send out the first crew.
We wrestled with the problem of plausibly repopulating this area with soldiers between each trip. After several iterations, we decided to have the soldiers jump in through some high windows. This solution has several advantages beyond maintaining incredible fiction. It makes the incoming enemies more immediately visible, and, since the windows are unreachable from the ground, players aren't able to exit through them. Plus, leaping soldiers turn into tumbling ragdolls when shot, which is always entertaining.
Originally, Barney started off in this map in the doorway down by the citizens, but playtesters tended to wander around for a while before stumbling across him. We moved him up here to guarantee that his scene with Alyx would unfold before players began any exploration. He's standing over a dead Metro cop because it's a plausible-looking long-term activity, in case players don't move directly down to him. Nearby reward items also tend to draw players toward him.
Here we wanted to include something a little different, an escort mission. Most of our gameplay involves constant forward motion, so we wanted to design a situation where players would fight through the same basic area multiple times. This temporary backtracking would create a series of encounters where players had a full tactical awareness of their surroundings. Once again, all of this turned out to be more easily said than done, and this sequence went through a lot of iterations. Originally, the train yard was one big space. This approach had a couple of problems. Since players had a constant unbroken view of the entire area, it was virtually impossible to maneuver enemies into position for stage combat events, and because they could always see the goal, players didn't get much of a sense that they were leading citizens somewhere the citizens couldn't get to on their own. Ultimately, we broke the environment into two different spaces, a parking lot and a maintenance building. Because neither area can be seen from the other, we're able to repopulate the spaces with new, more deadly combinations of enemies while the player isn't looking. It also makes the journey feel lengthier and more significant.
That's good to know. Let's save the game and start moving. Jesus. Now, how am I supposed to protect all these people? Going to get attacked here, that's for sure. Now they gave you the Magnum. What the?
So hard. We should have brought everyone over at once. You're supposed to wait till everyone else is on board first.
Oh, so all I have to do is to escort them to this place. Alright, nice.
Go back and get another group. I'll stay here and guard the gate.
Okay. There's another group back where Bounty is. We need to go back and try to meet them here. I did not see that thing at all.
You citizens, follow Dr. Freeman.
Okay, they're coming, they're coming. You better go fast. Better move fast. Yeah. You have Alyx guarding the place, which is fucking awesome. What the fuck are you doing? Hey people, get over here. Just stay there. I understand why they
Go for another group.
How much longer do we have to do this shit, man?
We can't get through here till that soldier's out of the way.
I understand what you're trying to do. I need to use RPG thingy.
Blood loss detected.
69.
Fantastic ass kicking, Doc.
Here, take this med kit.
Alright guys, follow me, follow me. Come on guys, follow me, ignore them. Come on guys, get over here. We're finally done.
Bring another group of citizens, Gordon.
Oh my god. You guys seriously did not see any problem with this. They just keep on charging right in and try to attack me. Now we have to deal with those guys up there. God. Can't you guys make something more interesting than this goddamn escort mission? It's so fucking boring, man. The entire game is pretty fun except with this.
Get rid of the APCs! Soldiers!
Oh fuck.
Now that's the Gordon Freeman I know. Keep them safe.
Okay, we only need 2 more people here. Guys, get in here. Guys, get over here. What the fuck? Oh, for the love of God, I have to do this shit all over again. Are you kidding me? Are you fucking serious now? Man, these fucking fools, they will not follow you. What the f...
The next group is ready for you.
Move! For fuck's sake, ignore them. Now shut the hell up and start moving.
Hurry up, people. Cover me while I reload.
We should have enough people now.
Here, have a med kit.
It should be enough, right?
We're ready for another group of citizens.
Wait, what? We're not done yet? Are you serious? Well, take care of them for me.
We're safe. Go for another group.
Come on. Get me out of this goddamn fucking escort mission. Why the fuck am I doing this? It's so fucking boring.
To the trains, people. We'll make sure you get there safe and sound.
And now Barney's following us. This should be it. Come on, guys, get in! Get in the fucking train! Oh, there we go, Alyx. Where's Bonnie?
Mm-hmm.
What do you want me to do?
I made it. We can leave now.
Guys. Alyx, what the fuck am I supposed to do? Oh, there we go. Fucking Barney. Jesus Christ.
Move him out!
That should keep them off our backs for a while.
Oh, shit. That they put you through to keep the game a little bit longer.
Go on, Barney. They're not after you. Gordon and I will draw their attention while you get the others away from here. We can grab another train once you're clear.
Okay then. Don't take too long about it, yeah?
Here, let's open up this next track.
We'll have to deal with the Striders next, if I'm not mistaken. This will not be fun.
We needed a train station, but we didn't want something that was too similar to the one in Half-Life 2. We decided to give this station a more industrial look, to make it a place where trains were repaired and freight was offloaded. We included some Combine elements to help explain why the Strider can't fire through the various strategic barricades required by the game design.
We separate Alyx from the player here to make the Strider battle a more intimate combat experience. While we generally want Alyx to be useful to the player, bosses tend to require a specific combat style to beat, and we found that it usually doesn't make gameplay sense to keep her around. Plus, boss battles are the player's big hero moments, and having too much health dilutes a sense of individual accomplishment. Alyx more or less sits out all of our boss battles.
For this climactic battle, we created a new AI that makes the Strider a more interesting opponent. It has a snappier cannon attack, to better track the player's movements, and it now has the ability to target the environment in various ways. For instance, its cannon fire can shove heavy shipping
Get the fuck out of there. Holy shit.
This shipping container used to be accessible only after the player destroyed a packet. Given the amount of stress during this part of the game, even a simple puzzle, in this case, destroying the lock, would be completely missed by the player. In the end, we felt like the arena we had built for the player to fight the Strider was fun enough without this added element, so we removed it.
Yeah, thank you, whatever. I don't care. Let's just complete this and move on.
We often use goodies, such as this crate and the scanner battery around the corner, to guide players along the preset route. We want players to hit their marks during the battle without drawing attention to the fact that they're being subtly manipulated down a particular path.
Oh shit! Oh fuck! I just
We
jumped
want
right
players
into
to hit their marks during the battle
my doom
without
without
drawing
even
attention to
realizing.
the fact that
God.
they're being subtly manipulated down a particular path.
I jumped straight to the goddamn thing. It was so fucking dumb. There's something wrong with the texture.
We wanted to keep the tension high in this fight, but we also realized that players would need some cover. The destructible panels satisfy both those design goals. Effectively, they're time shelters. Players can hide behind the panels, but the Strider will target them until they're destroyed. This gives the players brief periods of safety, during which they can plan their next move.
Well, they're going to save their fucking game right now, Jesus. And then they'll try to do something. What the? Fuck this. Okay, so we're not supposed to stay there. Better get the fuck out of there before this thing. Oh, I need to get to the other side. I'm going to be rich. God, what the fuck is this? Okay, I need to climb up there without fucking up a lot.
We noticed during playtesting that players were often too afraid of the Strider's weapons to stand in front of it and fire rockets. This was kind of a problem because rockets are virtually the only way to kill a Strider. To help players, we modified the Strider's AI so that a player-launched rocket will significantly delay the Strider's attack. This battle of reflexes lets players guide their missiles with safety as long as they get their shot off before the Strider does.
Have to do anything. That was fucking weird. That fucking Strider suck ass. It can't even penetrate those things. That was a boss fight? I mean it. That was so fucking random.
Along with Vistas, positive feedback from Alyx is one of our primary means of rewarding players. In this case, Alyx's excitement over the Strider's destruction adds a sense of closure to the battle, and gives players the satisfaction that someone witnessed and appreciated their heroics.
The train the player rides out of City 17 had two major design goals. It had to visually connect the end of Episode 1 to the beginning of Episode 2, and it also needed to address the functional gameplay requirements of the second episode. Using reference material we collected on European train cars from the 1980s, we built a basic version of the train that level designers could test. Once we got the thumbs up from them, we added textures and lots of little details. The result is basically a caboose, combined with rounder, more streamlined elements from a passenger car.
Apart from being a big visual payoff to the episode, there were several story requirements that this ending sequence needed to convey. It had to make it very clear that the Citadel was destroyed, that the Citadel pods had escaped, and it needed to imply that the data transmission beam was streaming out of the ruins. We discovered that Alyx had to be mostly silent during the scene. or else players tended to look at her instead of all the chaos around them.
We did it. We fucking did it, boys! About 3 hours.
Here we go. We did it, Gordon.
We are out. This is the this is the end of the first episode, Half-Life 2, episode 1. Dramatic ending. Explosions everywhere. The Citadel is... Oof. It's going down, baby. It's going down.
Oh my god, the transmission's going out.
Holy shit! God. Whoa, what the? What happened after that, nobody knows. But that was the end of Half-Life 2, Episode 1, everyone. Thank you guys for watching. We'll come back tomorrow to keep on playing Half-Life 2, Episode 2. Until then.